Spate is a crowd-funded indie platformer released on March 27, 2014. While the game's creator, Eric Provane, has quite the impressive resume, none of his previous jobs have anything to do with video games. And to be completely upfront with you, it kinda shows. Spate has rather floaty controls, it doesn't provide much of a challenge. Also, it's short. Like, really short. You can beat the whole thing in about an hour and a half. Much of the time, you're just walking to the right without any other button presses required. And it even has Flappy Bird levels. To a lot of you out there, that description alone has probably made you never want to get anywhere near this game. But while the gameplay fails to deliver on a mechanical aspect, I found myself rather enjoying the whole experience. Provane has worked with some big companies like Disney and Jim Henson Studios. He worked on films like the newest Alice in Wonderland and The Amazing Spider-Man, and that is the experience that really shows through. Spate is a gorgeous game that exists on the border of steampunk and Tim Burton-style surrealism that is really a spectacle to watch. You'll cross over bizarre landscapes and traverse impossibly weird obstacles on your way to the credits. While I didn't feel like I was doing a ton in the game, I was mesmerized by it. On many occasions, I found myself dying just because I was too fixated on the backgrounds and imagery to focus on where my character was falling. In the game, you play as Detective Bluth, a down-on-his-luck private eye, addicted to alcohol, recently divorced, the visions of his dead daughter ceaselessly haunting him, and on top of all that, he's been tasked with finding the whereabouts of a rather important businessman who's gone missing in the mysterious X Zone. Once a quiet island getaway, now a toxic wasteland. Most of the story comes from the voiceover narration of Detective Bluth, brought to life by his enchantingly deep voice.
These flags remind me of the first date I ever went on with my wife. Boy, was she a looker. It was a blind date. I met her at a little cafe on the water. It was a windy day. I made my way around the corner and the first thing I saw was her hair.
The thing is though, whenever Bluth starts talking, the challenges fall right off the map. In a half-hearted way to get you to pay attention to the story and continue the pace of the game, the levels turn into straight lines to the right, and platforms only come back as soon as the voiceover fades out. The weird thing is though, I never really seemed to mind. The dialogue and fantastic voice acting was enough to keep me invested, and I really did want to see where the story was going. One reviewer on Steam thought that Spate would be better suited as a short film than it would a video game. And while a lot of the normal game mechanics fall short in a lot of ways, there is one thing that makes it so that I don't think it could be replicated on film. Bluth is of course a chronic alcoholic, and his drink of choice? Absinthe. There is a dedicated drink absinthe button. When you drink it, the world becomes distorted. The camera will sulk off somewhere, foreground and background will sometimes seem to melt together, and you can jump higher for some reason. This is something that really stuck out to me, and I swear is well worth the price of admission. Drinking in video games is becoming somewhat of a staple, if for no other reason than comic relief. Sandbox games will have a mission where you need to drive while drunk or high to test your skills and provide funny dialogue as the mission progresses. Sometimes booze will give you stat boosts, that is if you don't drink yourself into a stupor and can't even see where you're going. But I've never really felt that drinking in a video game provided any sort of benefit to the game itself. That is until I played Spate. Bluth constantly refers to how the drink is making his life more bearable, how the absinthe keeps him going. When you drink it, the game becomes easier. Your high floaty jumps make the platforming less difficult. You can land with more accuracy and avoid obstacles better. If you're bored while holding the right button, you can take a swig and watch the screen twist and writhe. Drinking suddenly makes the game more fun and more visually appealing, while at the same time, he talks about how the drink is destroying him. The warped filter over the screen will make it harder for you to tell where you're supposed to jump or how close you are to the platform. It can mess with your perceptions, throw you off. The Flappy Bird segments will twist your camera somewhere that makes it really hard to tell where's up and down. Something drinking only makes worse. Drinking can also make the game harder. The mechanics of drinking actually mimic the way the main character feels about his own alcoholism. That, mixed with the visuals, make this game something really memorable.
I've never been able to visit my daughter's grave. I just can't do it. I can't. People have said that it would bring me closure. I found my closure. the absinthe. And if that stays true, then I'm certain to see my grave before I see my daughter's. That's how it should be anyway.
Everything in the game really drew me in. For one thing, the music is fantastic. It fits the game perfectly, and it adds a lot to the mood and atmosphere. And you can buy the whole thing online for only $1. I like the story too. I was eagerly awaiting the end of the game to find out what was real and what was a hallucination brought on by the absinthe. But I'm going to tell you right now, the end of the game really doesn't care about what's real and what's not. It has some interesting stuff to say on the character of Bluth, but I was really disappointed my first time through, and it wasn't until a few consecutive playthroughs before the end of the game really started to grow on me. Now, Spate does have multiple endings, but it's set to this really arbitrary choice that you make at the end of the game. It's a binary of press what button you want to get whatever ending, and if you want the different ending, you're going to have to start all the way back at the beginning of the game. And without trying to spoil anything, the choice is whether or not Bluth should continue to drink. Now, I see this as kind of a big lost opportunity, because you can actually go through the whole game without drinking once. I tried it just to see what would happen, and it's only slightly harder. But what they could have done is they could have assigned a different ending based on how many times you drank over the course of the game. But overall, I am really happy that I played Spate. The game is both beautiful and memorable, the drinking mechanic is both fun and thought-provoking. The gameplay may not hold up, but I won't easily forget the trance that this game had me in the first time I played through it.